Welcome back to Freedom to Learn podcast. My name is Gurumurthy Yeleswarapu, founder and CEO of Siliconvalley4u. For those who are new to this podcast, please subscribe and press the like button. You'll get a bunch of episodes your way, and also you can dig into a lot of good archives from wonderful people. So today we have a guest that has a fascinating story. His name is Nick Wilger. So he used to work for Siliconvalley4u. He used to teach bubble with Siliconvalley4u, and then and now he's pursuing his entrepreneurship and somewhere in Europe. And so it's very interesting. So he's going to talk about all that. With that, welcome, Nick.
Hey guys, welcome.
Hey, so why don't you start with your childhood and how your schooling went, and what were you doing in US before you took off and landed in Europe? Um, so yeah, why don't you talk about your journey, and then we'll go from there.
Yeah, so I'm originally from Green Bay, Wisconsin, and grew up kind of in the country. I have been through a variety of schools. So in elementary school, I was going to a private school, and then in middle school, I was homeschooled. Then I went to private school for my freshman year of high school, public school for my sophomore through senior year, and then my senior year I did dual credit, so I was doing college courses and getting that as my high school credit. My public school wouldn't allow it, so my mom decided to homeschool me my senior year, and I graduated as a homeschooler. And yeah, I mean, I'm pretty much a B average student, so I was never above average in really anything. My favorite subjects were I really liked English, I liked writing, I liked storytelling, and I liked math. I was never like an engineer mindset of like doing calculus and stuff, but I enjoyed numbers and being technical. And so yeah, that's
Yeah.
a little bit about schools.
Yeah, looks like you had a lot of twists and turns in terms of changing schools from one to other. Um, for me, at least mine is very flat. It's like there was only one system, just stay in it, otherwise just go home. Anyways,
Yeah.
so what brought you to, let's say, tech, and more specifically, you launched onto Bubble yourself, onto
Yeah.
Bubble, and talk about that. So how did you find that interesting in the first place, tech in general, right? And then
Yeah.
what drawn you to Bubble more specifically?
Yeah. So I would say it kind of started with my dad. So my dad has always worked in technology. He's a senior business analyst, and he's worked for a variety of larger companies. So growing up, I was always surrounded by technology for the most part. I remember playing on my dad's pocket PC
Yeah,
back in the day. It's like it was like the early version of a smartphone
right.
before iPhone or anything came out. And we had a family computer. Um, and I would say I started getting into video games also at kind of a young age. So that started I would say a combination of video games, playing on the computer, and me and my brothers were really into handheld devices. So we'd bring those everywhere we went and play together with our friends. Like Mario is what we would always play. And then in high school, I had a interest in digital marketing. Um, in my later years of high school, I just found it really fascinating and watched a lot of YouTube videos about it, and something I was interested in. And so after I graduated high school, I went to college, and um, my sophomore year, when I was 19 years old, I decided I wanted to start a software company. So I had a friend of mine who had this idea for an app. It's like a party in your pocket type app. You could like schedule caters and all that stuff from your phone and have it all in one place. And that more or less triggered my journey into technology. So I had to come up with all the business side of things. So business plan, marketing plan, and then I had to interview developers, figure out like the specifications of my app. I had to build a wireframe, user flows, and figure out the branding of my app and colors and fonts. And eventually got to the point where I had several development companies who had given me proposals for $120,000 to build this mobile app, and I had an investor who was interested in loaning me the money. Once I could show him that people were actually interested in paying for this. And so at that point, I tried to find a friend or someone who could help me build the app for a lower cost. But at the end of the day, wasn't able to find someone. So I decided to try and learn how to build it myself. So I dove into coding, I dove into no code, and like a few months after, so early 2000, late 2017, early 2018, I found Bubble. I heard about it on a podcast similar to this, and dove in and just fell in love with no code. And it allowed me to eventually start the company I run now, which is called Efficient. And yeah, I've been able to build some pretty cool products for people.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Actually, we work with a lot of college schools around the world, um, more than 150. So for most of these students, I kind of tell them, whether you are in computer science or otherwise, these are the tools, these are the training ones. In other words, for all you know, who knows, this may be the future, right? So long story short, treat this as a coding accelerator to get you to the use case quickly, and learn use cases. And then once you do, then, hey, use Bubble or maybe Webflow or something else. If not, then if you really want to use some of these coding techniques, yes, you can dwell into JavaScripts and whatnot.
Exactly.
But important thing is in this whole process, the most important thing is understanding the design and the use case of the customer and how the flow should be. If you don't know,
Yes.
your JavaScript skills are not super useful. And
Yeah.
yeah, typically I give the example of WhatsApp mobile app. There are so many apps, billions of apps, right? I mean, for most of them are 99 cents roughly. And WhatsApp is $4.12 billion. So both are mobile apps. And why one is, somewhere not even close, and the other ones, 99 cents are free, right? For most part.
Mm.
Both are mobile app engineers, right? Both probably some of these other mobile app engineers for other apps may be better than some of the WhatsApp mobile app engineers. It's possible. I'm pretty sure I can find few.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah, my take is that this is what I also preach. That's why we introduced bubble in our program, and I know you're part of that at that time. Everything, yeah. So did you have to? I mean, just want to while you are going through all these school systems, right? We all do elementary, middle. You in your case, private, public, homeschooling. Did you have a certain passion that I know you told me about digital marketing? You ran into it. Um, um, was there any very okay? This is what I want to do, and my question is, when if you had it, if you had some kind of passion, was that was that sort of distracted by the schoolwork
Mm.
or whatever the stuff you have to do as part of the school cycle?
Yeah, so that's a good question, Guru. Yeah, so during my younger years in middle school, high school, I had a couple different passions, uh, things that I was really interested in. One was video games. So that was something I was really interested in. Whenever I got home from school, I would want to play video games, or maybe during class, I would want to play video games, or um, it was a way for me to uh, have fun with my friends, compete, and also just like have fun in general. The other passion was airsofting. So that was one of my early business ventures, I'd say. Was I really got into the sport of these airsoft guns, and me and my friends would, get together and shoot each other with plastic BBs. But I was the guy who could take the gun apart, and I knew all the internal pieces of these guns, which are actually more complicated than real guns. And I would buy and sell them. So I would buy them, upgrade them, and then sell them for more than I paid for them. And it was a fun hobby that I had, and all my friends knew me for that. And was a great way to connect with the guys and get outdoors. Um, so yeah, I would say those are probably two of the passions I had that more or less were things I would have rather have done instead of doing schoolwork.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. I mean, yeah. So it's a very deep topic. Maybe in the next podcast. So now let's go into the more interesting parts of your journey. And now you are in Montenegro, and of all the places in Europe, because most of the times when you hear Europe, your regulars, you know, UK or um, like France and Switzerland, this, that, Italy, but you picked the Montenegro, which is good and nothing wrong with it. But so just talk about that. How I know you had a story behind it. So why don't you share how you
Yeah.
ended up being in Montenegro?
Yeah. So Montenegro is very near and dear to my heart. I'm actually there right now. So um, I first came to Montenegro in college in 2019 when I had an opportunity to get a business internship overseas and get school credit. So it was kind of like a study abroad, but instead of studying, I was working and getting college credit. So I lived in Montenegro for 5 months, had a really great experience, and I felt afterwards, I felt like I really was able to help a lot of people and make an impact on people's lives. And so after I came back to the US, I always had this desire to come back at some point. I didn't know if I was going to visit. I didn't know if I was going to, just be like a digital nomad and work there. Um, But this year, well, let's see, I started Efficient in 2020. But this year, I had a deeper desire to come back to Montenegro, because I helped one of my friends start a company here. So he started his own real estate business, nothing related to tech. But in Montenegro, the unemployment rate is officially 24%, but it's closer to 50% if you ask any of the locals. So to have a job is like amazing. There's so many people who are unemployed, but to actually start your own business, like legitimate business, and have people working under you is like an impossible thing in people's minds. So the fact that my friend was able to do that and is still like doing that and is successful in it, is mind blowing. And so the fact that I was able to be a part of that, it gave me motivation to come back. And Montenegro is a place that, one, my job allows me to work from anywhere. And Montenegro is a beautiful country, beautiful for the eyes, because of all the great nature, the mountains, the sea, beautiful culture. The people here are really, really nice in general, and very hospitable. And so for me, it was a no-brainer to live here. And so not only did I move here as a way to like, I guess, feel fulfilled and you know, live in a really exotic place, but the tech space in Montenegro is non-existent. 0.1% of Montenegrins work in the technology field. So there's a total of only 300 businesses registered under technology. The country has about 600,000 people, so it's a small country, but there's only like maybe 100 people, between 1 to 500 people who actually understand technology to a level where they're able to make money from it. And so me, being someone who has learned app and website development, digital marketing, I've decided to come here to help people understand the local culture and provide local jobs.
Yeah, I mean, it's fascinating. And yeah, so first of all, congratulations in being on or living in an exotic place with great weather and beaches, and nothing beats that. And in addition to that, for any entrepreneur, right? Like you, anytime you say that there is a unemployment slash lack of technology or technical resources, that's a great opportunity right there.
Mhm.
So that's how industries, typically business people look at it. I think it's a good combo for you to enjoy both your professional development as well as personal life. So the my next question is, I know we talked about it, right? We in fact we had a couple of calls, how we can help Montenegro in the same context. The purpose of this podcast, as well as what I do at Siliconvalley4u, is to sort of bridge the gap between the reality, which is the industry like you are in at the moment, and the things
Mhm.
that you are doing maybe 5 6 years ago in schools, right? So there is a huge gap.
Mhm.
No matter
Yeah.
what you do, see, you look at now, take your case, right? You did some, I forgot what undergrad you did, but you are doing
Business
Google and
business and theology. So I learned all the tech stuff in my dorm room,
right.
basically, outside of school.
Yes. So talk about the gap, and then how potentially one can mitigate that gap as much as possible. And I don't think there is such thing as 100% mitigation, but For instance, you learn tech on your own. No system allowed you to do it or helped you to do it rather. And if you
Yeah.
don't, if you didn't, then it's a different path, and God knows that what would have been. And that those things in certain countries like Montenegro results in unemployment, not knowing what you want to do. And when you don't, then you just keep going around and say, okay, I have this degree, give me a job. It doesn't connect, right? So then they ask you a simple question, what do you want to do? And you don't know the answer. So, and you'll say, okay,
Yeah.
I'll do whatever you have. And so that's the a general trend, right? In the system. So talk about the gap and see, and also talk about your thoughts on how to mitigate that gap.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think there's definitely a gap between the real world and the actual education system. When I was in college, I was trying to make sure that I would get a solid job after I graduated. And so I talked to a lot of older men who were much more experienced than me, and they gave me a lot of wisdom as to what I should do and where I should go. So I think one of the pieces that the education system is lacking, firstly, is mentorship. So when you are in university or even high school, you're trying to figure out what you want to do for the rest of your life. And if your parents, um, you know, aren't doing something that you're necessarily interested in, uh, you're probably not going to have a lot of direction as to like what you should be doing with your life. And so I think a critical piece, and some universities will have like types of like mentorship program type things, but they're not that great in my opinion. I don't know anyone who's really been able to find success through those kinds of programs. I would say traditionally, people have had to look outside of the education system for people who are in real jobs to help them figure out what should I be doing right now. So my first piece of advice is to find someone who is interesting to you and is doing something in the field that you're interested in. Most likely, if you're watching this podcast, you're interested in technology in some shape or form. So find someone who maybe has been a full stack engineer for a decade, 2 decades. Um, and there's a lot of ways to find them, just through general networking, LinkedIn. There's different networking websites and apps that you can find people. So I would say that's the first piece is finding someone who can help you navigate uh, the real world of work. I would say that the second piece is um, developing real skills. So university gives you a lot of head knowledge, definitely gives you a lot of foundational pieces. If you're going to school for technology, if like my younger brother, he went to school for just like IT, like software development, more or less. And so he learned Python and JavaScript. He created, some video games, but some like really small, like games and whatnot. But at the end of the day, you want to focus on building skills, more and projects, skills and projects. You're not trying to get like pieces of paper. You're not trying to get a job title. When you're in school, you're trying to build something that will add value to businesses in some way, shape, or form. Um, that could be, like knowing how to do Android development is a skill. Knowing how to do sales is a skill, and having experience to back that up. So in the tech space, I would say defining like what is an area you're interested in, finding someone who can help you move in that direction, building skills, real world skills, coding. I work in no code, so like visual design and development, UX, UI design, database structuring, APIs, like something that will help you make money. And then building projects. So having some type of a portfolio, showing like the projects validate the skills. So if you're able to build something that utilizes if you're able to build, a no-code app in Bubble and it looks amazing and it has, 10 different features and it flows so smooth, then that's going to show that you have skills in Bubble. That's how I was able to, start off as a WordPress designer, developer. So I was able to get into Bubble, all the tools that I know. I've built something, I've learned the tool, I've built something, I've showed people, they've paid me money for it.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, you well said. I'll tell you 3 takeaways from it. One is that the last one, it's I call it problem solving skills. So you need to solve a problem. How you do it, it's up to you nowadays.
Mhm.
Nobody really cares, whether you use Bubble or Webflow or something else, as I said before. And it's
Yeah.
all about how is my mobile or web app? Is it good? I'm going to use it. If it's not, it doesn't matter what tools used. Unfortunately, with all due respect, the traditional systems of education focus more on the tools. You have to learn this, you have to learn that, and full stack, this, that, so many words out there, and then so I always say this: you don't want to do something because you learned full stack. You want to first you identify this is the problem I want to solve. Maybe you don't need full stack. Maybe you want something like mobile, for instance, or something else. You don't know yet. So that's where even you mentioned you had a reference to your younger brother who did
Mm.
Python and everything. Yeah, they're all great tools. I mean, I give the analogy of hammers and tools, screwdrivers, spanners. But if you don't know what to do with the engine or whatever the stuff you are trying to do, it doesn't matter if you know how to use spanner. What do you do with it? So that's the kind of
Mhm.
mentality people need, especially in tech. It's use case, use case, use case, and then you break it down
Yeah.
and say whether it's e-commerce or is it AI, it's mobile or web or whatever it may be. And then third one is, okay, now I got to figure out how to use this tool. Then if you understand those two, you will have a tremendous drive to learn anything you want, and you can make it work. That's my opinion. And if you go other way
Yes.
around, it can be a long journey. So that's
Yeah.
yeah,
No.
yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah. No. I was gonna say two things. So first, like one thing that I did in college that might be helpful for people is, I would go to class and whatever, and then after class, I would always listen to this podcast called Mixergy. And it's a podcast about tech startups, and he interviews the entrepreneurs who built these companies. And so I would listen and they would talk about different pieces of software that they use to help run their business. And I would write them down. And then after class, I would go and I would play around with these tools and I would learn them as fast as I can. Most of them had like free trials and stuff like that. So this is um, this is part of building your digital readiness. So digital readiness is your ability to understand and use technology. So I built my digital readiness through learning tools constantly. You know, I would pop up some piece of software and I would learn everything I could and build something with it within 24 hours. And I'd be
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, that was cool. This software does this, is helpful. Then I would learn another software, and it slowly over time built this skill of rapid learning. So now I'm at this point where I can pick up a new piece of software and I can learn it within 24 hours
That's
and have a
correct.
good understanding of how it works and everything.
Yep.
And if you approach life that way, as being an active learner, having the mind of a learner and the heart of a servant, you will go far.
Yeah, absolutely. And the other takeaway I like to mention is that the one you talked about, finding a mentor, right? Which is
Yeah.
very crucial. In fact, I take one step, I take that to one step above by, you should, by saying, you should be mentor and also a mentee. You should find a mentor, and also you should start
Yeah.
mentoring someone else, so that you can sort of
Yeah.
help the other person. Number one. Number two is you can kind of consolidate everything you learn and or comprehend, whatever learnings you had until that point. And when you mentor someone, then you really learn, in my humble opinion. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's another one
Yeah.
that's completely lacking in the system. Yeah, yeah. Go ahead.
Yeah, that's one of the reasons I got a job at Siliconvalley4u, because it allowed me to teach people,
Right.
and I knew that if I was teaching, I was going to learn more about Bubble than just building. So
Absolutely. Yep. Yep. So with that, I think, nice segue into basic Silicon Valley for you and efficient. So we talked about collaborating to bring some of the things we do at Silicon Valley for you to Montenegro and vice versa. And so why don't you talk about Silicon Valley for you when you were working, and our collaboration, and in general your thoughts about the overall program for youth.
yeah, so my company Efficient, we build apps and websites and teach others how to do it too, using little to no code. We are launching the first no code career platform, the Efficient Accelerator, and we're going to be taking the no code space by storm. But in Montenegro, no code is extremely foreign. Only 18% of people in the world know about no code, Guru and I included. And out of that, there's very few people in Montenegro who know what that is. So what's great about Siliconvalley4u is that they offer a lot of programs and resources for people looking to get into IT. And they offer over 300 courses, I think you guys offer, and they're all live with real instructors. I was an instructor for their Bubble cohort about a year ago. And you're in a real live setting with other students. You're able to learn together and grow together, and you're building real projects. So you come away building real apps, like I mentioned, that you can put into some type of a portfolio. Siliconvalley4u has a platform for that. They teach you soft skills, communication, so on. And my company, the Efficient Accelerator, we've taken a similar model for no code, and Siliconvalley4u does that for coding. And so when Guru approached me about doing some type of partnership, it piqued my interest for sure, because I know both of us are very concerned about the gap in education versus the real world in the technology space. And so what we're working on right now is collaborating so that we can represent Siliconvalley4u in Montenegro in the universities here and allow students to take advantage of the Siliconvalley4u Industry Ready certification, which will be added to their diploma and help them land real jobs when they graduate from school, which again, the unemployment rate here is super high. So the fact that Siliconvalley4u has connections with employers in Silicon Valley and the United States and the West in general is a huge opportunity. So for us, it's a really great opportunity to take advantage of what Silicon Valley has and fits within our values and our mission statement.
Fantastic. Yeah, we are also looking forward to it, and I hope that I get to travel to Montenegro, and so I have Western interest. So,
Yeah,
jokes apart, yes, absolutely. I mean, um, excuse me. I think there is a lot of synergy between what we are doing and also, as I said, the demographic is needs these skills right now, and also there is there was globalization has been happening for a while now. COVID kind of pushed the envelope a little bit harder, as in now a lot of tech companies, you know, there are Airbnb, there are a bunch of tech companies that are saying, okay, just work 100% full time, don't have to come to anywhere. I know tons of companies like that. Airbnb is one of the top ones. I mean, bigger ones, and if not 100%, I'm pretty sure there's going to be some kind of hybrid model for sure for a long time to come, and that can be a great opportunity for certain countries like Montenegro, where the unemployment is very high, as well as lack of
yeah,
technology skills, and kind of fill the gap by having them opportunity to compete in the global market at the
exactly.
least, to begin with, and hopefully they take advantage of it, and we'll be talking more on a regular basis and bring our programs to schools there. Um, so this is a great conversation, and so I think I mentioned this to you before. So typically, I this is more like introductory type podcast. In maybe a few weeks to months, we'll take, let's say, efficient slash Silicon Valley4u collaboration, and then we go deep down into podcast. And then instead of right now, we are just talking about general journey of you as a entrepreneur, how you started, and where you are, and it's definitely very interesting for people. I'll tell you why. One of the reasons, there are many reasons. One of the reasons, there are a lot of people, standing in the line outside United States to come to United States, and you are born here, and then you went to Montenegro.
Yeah.
So it's like, so
I know. I get that all the time. People are like, why the heck are you in Montenegro? Like, everyone wants to go to the United States, but
I'll tell you,
man,
half the
yeah,
Montenegro wants to come to US right now. I can tell you. I'm just kidding.
yeah.
I don't know for sure, but I'm pretty sure they'll be interested. There's no doubt about it. So, in fact, when in 2019, I was in Italy. I was visiting. In fact, I was there to set up Silicon Valley4u. You know, anyway, just like, thank God it didn't work out, because we would have been in big trouble with leases and everything. So when I was there, I'll tell you I
Mm-hmm.
shared one of the experiences. It was very interesting. So we were in the line to go to one of these places, and then everybody's like, you might have noticed by now, in Europe, the interesting thing is people are from all parts of the different countries from Europe. You will see Switzerland, Italy, and UK, and you have no idea what language he speaks. So that fascinates me. I usually ask them, hey, what's your mother tongue and where you're from, things like that. So after some time, they asked me. Then I said, yeah, I'm originally from India, but I live in US right now. Really? And you can see that his eyes lit up, and in fact, somehow there is some admiration for the United States, and I was driving that attention in that moment. And then he was asked a lot of questions. His dream to be in San Francisco, apparently, according to him. And then I said, hey, I came here. My dream to watch, go and visit Italy. That's why I'm here. So anyway, yeah, that's why I always say it's very fascinating for those who look up to America, and then most of the Americans are just not most of them. When Americans are moving or living outside US, it's like it confuses them. So anyway, so I'm gonna usually I end with the one fun topic, which is like, do you envision any type of technology that you don't see today or it doesn't exist today, but hey, if I had this, it can be it can be for fantasy, like, oh, I can do all these things, I can fly, or it could be for your business, whatever it may be.
Well, as someone who builds apps for startups, I hear all sorts of ideas for technology. Man, if I were to say one piece of technology that I need right now that doesn't already exist, I'd say, I mean, there are some things in the, I mean, I would say like a personal, like like a personal hovercraft. I know I have a friend who's building something. It's not here yet, but it's basically a giant drone that can transport people to different places, and it can like bolt onto the side of buildings. But having some type of device that I can like go out on my balcony and step on or like get into and like fly around, that would be amazing. So from a like a physical thing, that would be super cool. I also think AR glasses is something that Microsoft is working on, and the technology is evolving. But having like AR glasses, like people show in marketing ads, like you're able to put on these glasses and you're able to interact with the world in a much simpler way. You're able to look at your computer and it just pops up like, I don't know, like 10 other screens with like information about your calendar, and it's all customizable. You look at your phone and you just look at your phone and it'll give you all your notifications. You don't need to click any buttons. You look at your watch and it'll show you your time. You can customize that. You can interact with buildings and stuff in a whole new way. I think that would be just fantastic. Something once that becomes reality, which
No,
it's
actually,
almost here.
Yeah, almost there. That's why I was going to say that. In fact, prior to pandemic, I always used to think about the one you mentioned. For instance, the massive traffic issues all over United States, right? More so in Bay Area, and LA is like crazy. So, I don't know, like Elon Musk was digging tunnels to, make the transportation easier. I always used to wonder, why are we going down and why can't we go up, like the way you said, like a beeline, right? So you have a drone, so you have traffic on the road, and then you have like you take all the buildings height and then just go 10 feet above the tallest building, and have the transportation like a massive drone. People sit there and then go, and then you can have parallel paths. You can have 3-4 lanes, one above another, right? So you can have 3-4 lanes, and then you have road, and with that you kind of you can reduce the traffic. And I don't know why, and no, I don't know. First, I don't know if there are any restrictions in terms of I don't see any restrictions. I mean, you know why? Because there are already drones sort of flying around anyway. I mean, not for transportation, but they are doing for other reasons. So that's something I always used to think about it, but somehow, I mean, the digging, tunnels is a lot of work. I mean, how many tunnels are you gonna? I mean, that's like back in when United people came to US to put out all these rails across the country. It's a massive work, and this should be relatively
Mhm.
easier. All you have to do is not, I shouldn't say much simpler, but what I'm trying to say is that you have to have a proper drone, and also you have to have a place to land. So just like helipad type things, right? So
Yeah.
let's say you go take any baseball park or something, you just go and land there and drop them off, and if there is no game and things like that. Anyway, you know what
Mhm.
I mean. So yeah. So I think that's going to happen. And the other thing I like to see personally is, even probably now you also want to see, is that I want to be able to travel between the countries within 30-40 minutes. I mean, now if you want to travel to Montenegro, let's see, what is it, 8 hours for you? Maybe, maybe a little, maybe nine, whatever it may be. So if you can reach Montenegro, let's say in 30 minutes, probably you can just fly back and forth, right? As and when you
Mhm.
need. So that's the other thing I like to see. I'm pretty sure that might happen. I don't know when. And that kind of reduces the gap between the countries for all reasons, political reasons and socio-economical reasons and things like that, so that
Yeah.
like people can work from anywhere and move from anywhere to anywhere. It's pretty cool. Um, yeah, I mean, when that happens, I'm gonna regret if I'm still alive, because when I wanted it, it wasn't there, right? So right now, if I have to go to India, 18 hours, just crazy. It's just so much
Yeah.
travel time, and by the time you go there, you're kind of exhausted and jet
Mhm.
lagged and everything.
I want to turn around and come back home. Right when you get there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. It's a
Yeah.
great conversation, and I really appreciate your time. As I said before, we'll do another podcast. Hopefully, more about our collaboration and very soon. And yeah. So thanks for your time, and we'll catch up soon.